Hello and welcome. In this video, we are discussing linear and non-linear system. We have started classification of system in the last video. Classification we have discussed system can be classified as a static or dynamic, linear or non-linear, causal or non-causal, time variant or time invariant, stable or unstable, invertible or non-invertible. So in this video, we are discussing how to identify linear system or non-linear system. First, let's see what do you mean by linear system. A continuous time system is linear if it satisfies the property of superposition. Now, what is superposition property or principle? Let x1t is the input to the system. At that time, output is y1t. Now let x2t is the input to the system and y2t is the output. Now if I add x1t and x2t and give the input to the system, at that time output is suppose y1t plus y2t. Then the system is linear. That means if I am taking the linear summation of these two inputs, at the output I will get the linear summation of the individual outputs. This is called a superposition principle. Or if I multiply x1 by some constant a and x2 by some constant b and I will add. So my input to the system is a x1t plus b x2t. Then at the output same scaling will get reflected. Y1t get multiplied with the a and y2t get multiplied with the b and I will get the addition of individual outputs. So this is the superposition principle. Let's your system x1t is the input, y1t is the output, x2t is the input, y2t is the output. Now I will take the input as a summation of x1t and x2t. Superposition principle tells that if I am taking the linear summation at the input, at the output I should get the summation of individual outputs. That means at the output I should get y1t plus y2t. So this is superposition principle and same logic you can apply for the discrete time system also. Okay, here if I multiply x1t by a, output should also get multiplied by a. That is the scaling. Now same logic you can apply for discrete time. x1t is the input, x1n is input now discrete time, y1n is the output. Instead of t we are considering here n for the discrete time. x2n is the input, y2n is the output. Now x1 plus x2n is the input, output is y1n plus y2n for superposition principle. And if this principle satisfied, our system is linear system. Similarly, if input gets scaled by some constant, output also gets scaled by same constant. So to check whether the system is linear or not, we have to check whether it satisfies superposition principle or not. If it satisfies, the system is linear system. Let's solve one example. Question is check whether the following system is linear system or not. Question is y of n is equal to n into x of n. First thing, what operation is there on the input? Here input get multiplied by n, means your system whatever the input get multiplied by n and you will get its output. So output y of n is n into x of n into input. Now let's take x1n is the input. So output is your input get multiplied by n. So n into x1n. Now x2n is the input. Output is n into x2n. Now we'll take x3n, which is summation of x1n and x2n is the input. Now output, we know that output is whatever the input will get multiplied by n. So n into x1 plus x2. That is our input. Now let's solve this. Take this n inside. So y3n is n into x1n plus n into x2n. If you check the previous y1n and y2n, n x1n is y1 and n x2n is y2. So this y3n is nothing but addition of individual outputs. And this is nothing but our superposition principle. If we add the inputs, if we add two different inputs, at the output you will get summation of individual outputs. The system follows the superposition rule or principle, hence this system is linear system. Let's solve one more example. Now here instead of n I have considered t, means it is continuous time system. Previous one is discrete time system. But the method is same to check whether linear or not. You have to check superposition principle. Now here example is y of t is equal to e raised to x of t. So your system takes the exponential of input. System, what it does? Whatever the input, it takes its exponential to get the output. So output y of t is e raised to its input. Let's x1t is the input, output is e raised to x1t, its input. x2t is the input, output is e raised to x2t. Now, input is x1t plus x2t. Output should be e raised to its input is x1t plus x2t. Now let's solve this. We know e raised to x1t plus x2t is nothing but e raised to x1t into e raised to x2t. Now here not addition, it into. That's why this output is, this is y1t into y2t. It doesn't satisfy the superposition principle because addition of two individual inputs, output we should get addition of individual output. Here we are getting multiplication, not addition. That's why the given system doesn't follow superposition rule, hence the system is non-linear. So this is the way to check the whether the system is linear or not. You have to check whether the system satisfies superposition principle or not. If as it is linear, otherwise non-linear. Thank you.